Hello and welcome to a new edition of Merrill's Monday Market Madness. I'm coming at you today with an update regarding the Phoenix housing market. Today is October 9th. And what we're going to be taking a look at today is basically how did September go? But more importantly, kind of looking at what is happening right now with kind of the supply and demand situation, and what kind of an impact do we expect to see that having on house prices moving forward. So if you're a buyer or a homeowner, I think the information will be really, really relevant to you today. So as always, I like to start with, and I've got a bunch of numbers written on the board behind me here. So hopefully everyone can kind of see those okay, and I'll kind of talk about each one. But I like to start, as always, with how many active listings. So right now in our MLS, we have 13,791 active listings, and that is up quite a bit. So we hit our low watermark of around 8,000 active listings. I think that was probably in May. Apologize, I don't have that exact date, but that's when we hit our lowest active listings for the year. It was around May, and around 8,000. We're up to almost 14,000 now. So there's an additional 6,000 homes for sale in the Phoenix metro area right now, as compared to what there were just a couple of months ago. So what does that mean? Well, it means that at the moment, homes are being listed faster than they're selling or coming off of the market, which essentially is going to, if it went on for long enough, right, it would cause a situation where we would have too much supply and prices would fall. Now, we've been touting this idea that inventory is so low that we're not expecting a drop in home prices. You probably heard a lot of realtors putting, content like that out. Oh gosh, there's just no inventory, so home prices are still super stable. And for the most part, that's true, but it's not exactly true. And I'm going to break that down here in a second. So pending right now, we have 6,654 pending listings. Compared to this same date last year, there were 7,208. So not only, oh, and I'm sorry, did I mention, I think I forgot to say something about this 13,791 active listings. On the same date last year, there were 20,501. So is the 13,791 low? Yes, it's definitely low, but it's actually way lower than it was at the same time in 2022. Quite significantly lower than where it was at this same time in 2022. And prices, still rose despite that, sort of. I'll get to that in a minute. So pending, we have 6,654 compared to the same time last year, 7,208. So slightly fewer pending listings. The number of homes that have sold in the past 30 days, 5,304. This same date last year, 6,340. So 1,000 fewer homes selling in a monthly period right now as compared to how many homes were selling per month last year. So that gives us currently a month supply of inventory of 2.6, which technically is still considered a seller's market. This same time last year, we were at a 3.23. So again, a lot less inventory, but also fewer homes selling, which is causing that month supply of inventory number to be a little closer to what it was at the same time last year. All right, now I also kind of wanted to do a little recap of what we did in the month of September. So 5,582 listings sold in September with an average sales price of $556,044. That average number can get skewed a little bit when you sometimes have a bunch of really, really cheap listings or a bunch of really, really expensive listings. There was a $12 million home that sold in September. So I was like, I'd rather look at the median price rather than the average price, because those numbers, so the median price, which I think is more indicative of what a normal Phoenix home is going for, is currently $440,000. Now, if we compare that to September of 2022, again, we had 6,461 homes sell. So again, roughly 1,000 fewer homes selling. That's a total volume. The number of homes selling down. And I'm sorry, there's a glare there for my monitor. Well, anyway, I can't get rid of it. But anyway, 13.6% fewer transactions happening. The average sales price, though, is actually up. So most of the year, we've been talking about how home values that were a little bit down compared to where they were at for the previous year. But now that we're kind of comparing high interest rates to high interest rates, because the rates were already quite high at this time last year, the average price has actually increased from September 2022 to September 2023, 4.5%, which is pretty decent incline given how pretty significant increase given how high rates are and how difficult affordability is at the moment. But again, the median price was 432, so median price is only up about 2%. So it just kind of depends on your house, and I'm not saying everyone's house is up 4% or 2%, but that kind of gives you an idea. So here's the part that I really wanted to get to is, we talk about, okay, so year over year, home prices are up 4.5 or 1.9%, but that doesn't really tell the whole story. And this is what I like to explain to people. I'm going to move the screen down a little bit so that you can see this. So we hit our highest ever average sales price in June of 2022 of $600,746. Okay. Well, we hit by December, we hit our kind of recent low water mark of $522,711, which was a 13% drop from the peak. So June to December, prices literally dropped on average by $80,000 or 13%. That's a pretty significant drop in a very short period of time. Okay, well then the market, and this is a somewhat normal, well, I don't know about a 13% drop, but it is not abnormal for prices to dip in the fall and winter months because there is lower demand. And then it tends to pick back up in the spring. So by June, we hit our highest average sales price of the year so far at $589,740. Now, if September's average sales price of $556,000, then we're down 5.7% off of June so far. So what does that really mean? Well, it means that at the moment, prices are actually slipping a little bit. So even though year over year, we're up 4.5% on average and 2% median, at the exact moment, average prices are dipping 5.7% so far off of where we were in June. Now, last year, we dropped 13% by December. So from June to December was 13%. This year, we're down 6% so far. I want to say, though, that I don't think it's going to dip 13% like it did last year. Again, last year, 13% dip. But you also have to pay attention to the fact that last year, at this time, we had 20,500 active listings. Now we only have 13,791. So combine the lower inventory that we have this year compared to where we were at last year, I don't think the dip will be quite as dramatic. But if you're a buyer and you've been holding off for prices to dip slightly or for be able to get a little bit of a better deal on prices, between now and December is probably going to be the best possible opportunity. Now, if you're a seller, it's kind of bummer news for you. But many people who have to sell a house also have to buy a house. So if you're selling one house at maybe a 5% lower price, but you got to buy a new house, you also get to buy it at a 5% lower price. So it's not, not the end of the world. Or if you're a seller who I'm thinking about selling my home, but I want to make sure I time the sell to the point where I'm going to get the highest possible price. Well, 2 years in a row now, we've hit our highest average price in June. So, and I think that's pretty normal. So basically, if you were to, I only looked at this year and last year, but I bet if I went back and looked at other years, it's pretty consistently June is probably the highest average sales price. But keep in mind, this close in June, that means you actually need to be going under contract in May, probably coming on the market in April sometime. So if you're not attached to a time frame and you're just hey, I just want to make sure I'm listing my home at a time that's going to absolutely maximize my proceeds, April and May are probably the best times to do it. So anyway, that is my conclusion for today. Hope you found this information helpful. If you have any questions about the market or if I can help with anything or you need some updates about what's happening with your home's value or anything like that, please reach out. I'm always happy to run some numbers. It's kind of my favorite thing to do is to get analytical and do this stuff. So appreciate you guys' time watching and please message me if you have any questions and have a great day.